Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. I'm Kelly Mesher-Collins at the Diocese of Des Moines. On today's show, we're focusing on the upcoming Eucharistic Procession in Des Moines on Sunday, August 28th, led by Bishop Joensen. It's going to be coming from the Basilica of St. John to St. Ambrose Cathedral. This also kicks off a year of Eucharistic renewal in our diocese and the entire United States. Our guests today are John Huynh, Diocesan Director of the Faith Journey Office, and Jeff Pierick, a member of St. Augustin Parish in Des Moines. But before we get to today's interview, let's find out what's on the Bishop's mind.
We're getting real as summer days of summer are yielding to all that lies ahead. But the great feast day of the Assumption, one of my favorite feast days, not just because it was my grandma's birthday, but Mary and the unity of her being, every moment of her life, and now the beloved disciple cared for her at Ephesus, but assumed into heaven, and taking their body and soul, that unity that God intends all of us to have. And I think our reflection with teachers, administrators, and staff of our Catholic schools in the Des Moines metro area on Monday, Mass at Sacred Heart with all of them, and then reflections with Lucia and her husband Ricardo Luzando. They come to us as an attorney, a physician, but involved with the Person and Identity Project. And so really kind of thinking about our identity as male and female, the implications of that, and so that presentation that they made, kind of in light of where we know the cultural tensions and confusion that exists, in people who suffer from gender dysphoria. And so I think they were helping us to know, how do we respond pastorally as teachers, as parents, as people of faith and disciples who want to love unconditionally, but also want to show the truth of what God intends for us. And we know that the struggles that people have, the yoke of the cross. So they did a repeat appearance out at St. Albert Catholic School in Council Bluffs on Wednesday. So we're grateful for Lucia and Ricardo and the resource that they were. We think about how our integrity of body and soul, that integrity of Jesus and the unity of his being, how that's manifested for us in the Eucharist and the great gift that is there. And looking forward to this conversation with Jeff and John, and thinking about procession. The kind of public intellectual Robert Royal was saying we need to be more bold and being willing to be out there and expressing our faith, even in the public square, not to kind of mark it out as claiming the territory, but that this is part of the unity of who we are as citizens and as disciples, that these are to be meant to be seamless, and we can't be bashful in this. And so we can recall the different ways my time and experience in Tanzania on Corpus Christi. There were 6 processions that we passed on our way to the return trip to the airport, and so it was just very stirring and inspiring. Mm-hmm. And so our revival already underway in our own culture and time as well. John Huynh, who will be with us, he and I share a little bit of a philosophical appetite on things, but we know our Holy Father, Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, in his encyclical talking about the God who is love, talking about this unity of body and soul, the challenge in our love, our appetite, that we're not just pure spirits and rejecting the flesh, because then the spirit and the body would lose their dignity, but that our body is part of that greatness of being human. And kind of historically reflecting back, the fellow Gassendi, known as kind of an epicure in France, used to offer the philosopher René Descartes the humorous greeting, "O soul," and Descartes would reply, "O flesh," citing the Holy Father. That way, and just, those things, those aspects that we might accent to the expense of the other. It is neither the spirit alone or the body alone that loves. It is the person, a unified creature composed of body and soul, who loves. Only when they're truly united is our love, our eros, of that desire to unite ourselves with one beyond ourselves, able to mature and achieve its authentic grandeur. And so how much more in that way in which others, too, Kathleen Birkin, a woman who was part of the ARC communities for the disabled, when she herself was experiencing cancer and that wonder of the incarnation, she asked, if God is incarnate only in Jesus, what does it mean that the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us? Each of us, then, the Spirit of God living in us, is a temple of the Holy Spirit, that when we receive the Eucharist, we take God into us. God permeates our being, and we are one with the divine. God never then disappears from our beings after that first encounter with the Eucharistic Lord. I don't believe that God would ever leave us, Catherine says, and the members of her community have shown that to her more than once.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
Monsignor Frank Bignano here. It's time to save the dates for the 2022 Christ Our Life Catholic Conference, Saturday and Sunday, September 24 and 25 at Wells Fargo Arena in Des Moines. If you can't join us in person, live stream it. Once again, the conference offers a world-class lineup of speakers, the Holy Mass, incredible music, reconciliation, and adoration. Go to ChristOurLifeIowa.com for tickets and information. The 2022 Christ Our Life Catholic Conference, ChristOurLifeIowa.com.
Father P.J. McManus here from Be Not Afraid. Join me, along with Iowa Catholic Radio's Matt Wilkham, for our Footprints of God Holy Land pilgrimage, November the 12th through the 21st of 2023. We'll see the Church of the Visitation, touch the top of Mount Calvary, and visit the famous Western Wall. Plus, expert pilgrimage guide and Catholic convert Steve Ray will be right there to bring the Bible to life at every site. Don't miss Iowa Catholic Radio's 2023 Holy Land pilgrimage. Early bird pricing available. Details at iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. On today's show, we're focusing on the upcoming Eucharistic Procession in Des Moines on Sunday, August 28th. This is led by Bishop Joensen and will begin after the 10:30 a.m. Mass at the Basilica of St. John and processing to St. Ambrose Cathedral. This event also kicks off a year of Eucharistic renewal in our diocese, but also the entire United States. Our guests today are John Huynh, a diocesan director of the Faith Journey Office, and Jeff Pierick, a member of St. Augustin Parish in Des Moines.
And just to situate ourselves again in the sanctuary cycle, this coming Monday is the Feast of Mary, Queen of Heaven, following on the octave after the Assumption. Our secondary patroness here in the Des Moines Diocese, so she who will be interceding for us. And then as we look toward the 28th, the Lord's Day, and so St. Augustine takes a back seat that day. The people of St. Augustin Parish, of which Jeff is a proud member of St. Augustine, but moving into this. So, yes, so we think about this as a kind of signature moment for the diocese, a kind of moment to lift us up in our Eucharistic faith. But this has been long in germination in some of the things that we've been about. And so John Huynh, we welcome him on our show today. John, who's helps to coordinate Faith Journey, different roles within the diocese as kind of a staff theologian, but his own living faith. And John, you've been about the matters Eucharistic long before the Feast of Corpus Christi this year, which kicked off the National Eucharistic Revival.
Right, yeah. I think it was April 2021 when you first asked me to think about what the diocesan effort for Eucharistic renewal would look like, knowing that the Eucharistic revival movement is this year. So yeah, we've been at this for a little over a year now. And I think at that point you were eager to get started. Because you observed, well, why wait to bring special attention to the Eucharist? So since then, we've been working to bring attention to the Eucharist and its significance in our Catholic faith, hoping, of course, that when we officially begin this diocesan year, that folks are fully aware and they can join more fully. So in terms of some of the concrete things that we've been doing and have done, I think our faithful might have been noticing a monthly column in the Catholic Mirror on what the value of the Eucharistic sacrament brings to different people in the faith. We have had reflections from Catholic school principals to high school students to volunteer catechists, a few others too. So there are also other collated resources in spiritual reflections like those prepared for the weekly Holy Hour at the Cathedral, which you lead, Bishop, and Father Nippon as well. And folks, if you've gone to this, you should. It's on Monday evenings, 5 p.m. at the Cathedral. And there are a host of other resources that can be found on our diocesan website, too. So, yeah, we've been at this for a little bit over a year now.
And a nice mix of people who've been with you, some who are at parish levels, others, bringing other background. Also, the kind of the video series, too, right? The My Why series of people giving witness and that. Tell us about that.
That's right, yeah. So one of the really good resources, or I suppose not resources, but really good witness to our faith and the Eucharist significance is the series of My Why videos produced by Kelly and Anne Marie Cox. And what they do is they go and visit with parishioners from, middle school students to older folks and saying, hey, why do you go to Mass? What brings you back weekly or daily? And you get a glimpse of why people see the value of the Eucharist as enhancing their faith and their living.
Yeah, because, I mean, yes, obviously our priests, their lives revolve around the Eucharist. It's their reason for being, and for myself as a bishop as well. But to see that witness from the level of disciples as well. So, and someone else who gives vivid witness to me, I know his presence, his very burning Eucharistic faith, Jeff Pierick, with us today, and we're grateful for that. Jeff, as I said, a member of St. Augustine's, but he's been known to pop up at different places. You find time in your life as a busy attorney to commune with our Lord, almost on a daily basis.
Yeah, no, thank you, Bishop. Thank you for allowing me to be on your show. I think clearly at St. Augustine, our Eucharistic adoration, the 24/7, is so powerful. And you see people from all over the city there, and you go in at different times. I have a set time each week, but you see people then. But if you just pop in, some of my kids pop in, and it's so powerful. And I think this procession is great because we're taking Jesus out in the world. And I think we see how powerful adoration on its own in the church is, but I think what it does when we actually go out, I've been able to be part of a lot of processions. St. Augustine, ever since Father Pichut came, then we have the Corpus Christi procession, and then he started that in Sheraton. Also, then this year, Bishop, you were involved with St. Anthony's Corpus Christi procession, which is also a great event as well. And I think, bringing Jesus out as the divine physician, as a healer, I think our world needs that so much to bring that light of Christ out to them.
Beautifully said. And, and that's, I think, a healthy reminder for us. Eucharistic faith has been flowering in so many ways. And obviously the pandemic put new challenges for us and the restrictions that were there. But this is not an initiative that I can take credit for. The pastors, the people of God have been about this long before. Corpus Christi and Council Bluffs, other places as well. But this kind of puts us in union with the church in America. Bishop Andrew Cousins of the Episcopal moderator now for this 3-year Eucharistic revival that the bishops have endorsed and sanctioned. As he says, we want to start a fire, not start another program. That's not what we need here, is another program. Right. And so, the 3-year moving toward kind of diocesan level, and then moving the next year to the parish level, and then, of course, the National Eucharistic Congress in Indianapolis in 2024, animating us ultimately for a mission to go out into the world. And so we're kind of anticipating that. We're going out into the world on August 28th with this Eucharistic procession as a symbol of the way in which we are to be missionaries, and not to be cowed by the culture and the tensions that we find, but to be bold enough to do this and to bring, the gospel of Jesus Christ, which is very much the gospel of life, and to affirm and to uphold all human beings in their dignity. So, John, we've landed on, though it kicked off on the Feast of Corpus Christi, we've landed on August 28th. What do you think about that date?
Other than it's a good date.
People are getting back to school. Obviously, it's a busy time for people.
Right.
Maybe winding down, and it anticipates the Labor Day weekend and things too. But hopefully, it won't be 98 degrees, and we will be sweltering as well. But so talk about the collaboration, you and Jeff and others, and how you see this unfolding.
Yeah, is pointing out bringing Jesus to people. And I think that's one of the things that we want to accomplish here is to show our love for the Eucharist by personal witness. So before I get into it, I just allow me to tell the story that this was recently read, I think, at your Holy Hour, and it was regarding the Diocletian persecution in 305 AD, where the North African martyrs, Saturninus and his companions, suffered death, and they are essentially the first martyrs of the Eucharist. And when they were accused of violating, the emperor's decree to not hold meetings and hand out prayers, each of them basically said, "Look, a Christian cannot live without the Eucharist, and the Eucharist cannot without the Christian. Don't you know that the Christian exists for the Eucharist, and the Eucharist for the Christian? Yes, I participated with my brothers in the meeting. I studied the mysteries of the Lord. I have with me written in my heart the divine scriptures. The Eucharist is the hope and salvation of the Christians." And so, with this in mind, right, we bring Jesus to the world because I follow Bishop Barron's approach in delivering the faith to the young and adult teen Catholics. Show them the beauty, show them the goodness, and then lead them towards understanding the truth. And this is why Eucharistic Procession makes so much sense. To be our diocesan efforts, it's beauty. Think of showing friends something that you love by just showing it to them, and the simplicity in showing it.
Yes, and you mentioned the saints of the 4th century and the martyrs that were there. A saint closer to our own time, Mother Teresa of Calcutta, who commented that when you look at the crucifix, you understand how much Jesus loved you then. When you look at the sacred host, you understand how much Jesus loves you now. How much Jesus loves you now. And so love, showing his face, manifesting that to us as well. So let's move into maybe some of the practical details, the route and the point of origin and all that's about. Jeff, your understanding of how this plan is unfolding. How is the day going to unfold on August 28th?
Yeah, so we'll have Mass at Bishop. You'll be presiding at Basilica, and then have it the procession right after. So I don't know.
At their regular Sunday?
The 10:30 Mass, yeah. So I think we probably won't get started maybe till 11:45, but I think we have a very aggressive route.
Depending how long the homily is.
Right? depending, yeah. But I think that what I like, the Corpus Christi processions are great that we have at St. Anthony's, St. Augustine, but part of it is it's really just kind of because there's 3 stops, like a 2 or 3 block area. What I like about this is we're presiding a lot farther, and so more people will see us. And I really think that's great. We're actually going to be walking then on University. We're going to be walking past the Planned Parenthood there, not in any kind of insightful way. Obviously we know tensions are high, and so we're not, doing anything, whatever, spiking the football, anything with, the Dobbs decision, anything like that. We just want to pray we're bringing the light of Christ out, and for healing, because there's a lot of people that have had abortions that they need healing. I'm fortunate enough to be out at Planned Parenthood most Saturdays. There's a person at Christ the King, Kathy Biederman. I call her Des Moines Joan.
At the Southern Clinic.
At the Southern one on Army Post. I call her Des Moines Joan of Arc, because she's out there all the time with her signs. And we're, way far away from Planned Parenthood, but closer to the Army Post. But we're there. Sometimes people say some things to us. We just are very respectful. Sometimes they want to engage, but we're very positive. And a lot of times people are they're hurting. And so we try to reach them when we can. Sometimes they don't want a dialogue. That's fine. But we say the rosary for about an hour there, go through all the 4 sets of mysteries, and really is to reach out. And she has signs there, honk if you're pro-life. And usually, I would say 70, 80, maybe 90% of the people are real positive. You get a few people, with some signs or symbols or things, but for the most part, really positive, and people are glad we're there. But we do it very respectfully. And, I don't know, most Catholics, probably a lot of Catholics are watching unplanned, and you need to be positive, and that's the way we are, and be respectful and be Christian, because, that's how you're going to convert hearts and minds.
Yeah, I like that metaphor. And not spiking the football here, not trying to be deliberately provocative, but simply to give witness and to pray for the conversion of hearts. And we include ourselves in this as well. We're continually being transformed to embrace life and all that it's about. John, you seem like you have some thoughts.
Yeah, no, what is our faith but continuous conversion, right? It's not just praying for conversion of others, it's praying for conversions in ourselves as well. And I think that, pointing to the conversion of heart is absolutely paramount, in that people normally aren't converted intellectually. They're converted in their hearts, and then the mind will follow.
Yeah, the U.S. bishops, we talk about, the concern in the document that came out, approved by the bishops in November 2021, the mystery of the Eucharist and the life of the Church, which, again, has been really, truly spiritual reading. I commend that to our listeners throughout the Iowa Catholic Radio, Spirit Catholic Radio Network, easily found the mystery of the Eucharist and the life of the Church. But it's not a matter of weaponizing the Eucharist by who's eligible, who's not, and everything else, but that we're all converged, and yet our life choices and the values that we hold matter to show, are we truly integrated and grafted into the body of Christ, or is there some pruning that needs to happen for any one of us as well? In what Pope Francis has termed again and again, the throwaway culture, where we view people as disposable in some way, people who are not useful, the elderly. We celebrated Grandparents' Day in July, that newly instituted recognition in conjunction with the feasts of St. Joachim and Anne as well. And so, again, as the U.S. bishops, reflected, personal and moral transformation sustained by the Eucharist, reaching out to every sphere of life, all of our relationships, our own families, friends, and neighbors, that can reshape the life of society as a whole, so that our relationship with Christ is not restricted to the private sphere. It's not for ourselves alone, but this love is preferentially for the poor and the most vulnerable. And so that's really what we're about. Plus, we're just celebrating God among us, Yeah. Praise, we are not worthy, but He is worthy, and He wants to be with us on our pilgrimage of life, to accompany each other in this way. So this route, I think, from the Basilica, the jewels of our diocese and the beauty that's there, as John was saying earlier, the beauty of the faith, and we want people to behold the beauty of every human life that's present there as well, and those whose maybe wounds and scars of life, that they've doubled down in a way and kind of reinforcing that. So, Jeff, what would you anticipate for the graces of folks? Do you anticipate that this is going to be a thing that is going to elicit kind of the rawness of our time? Or, obviously permits have to be secured. You can't walk on major thoroughfares in the city. There's a lot of logistical stuff that goes into this.
There are, and we'll have police escorts and things, so I don't really see, obviously we've seen New York, L.A., some of the things that have gone on, even D.C. I don't foresee that being a problem. I think I have basically a daily devotion on the Eucharist, Eucharistic miracles, and seeing through the history what these processions have done. I think we're going to be reaching, Catholics maybe are lapsed and aren't to church. We're taking Jesus to them. Maybe they come back. Other Christians that aren't Catholic, recognizing our respect for the Eucharist, and non-Christians. And so I think people will be respectful, and that's what I see. I saw both at St. Anthony's Corpus Christi procession this year, and I think it'll be great.
Yeah, no, it should be quite beautiful. So again, Sunday, August 28th, but we're going to take a pause here.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll continue to talk about the August 28th Eucharistic Procession in Des Moines. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio is provided by the Sarah Vocations Ministry, including the St. Sarah Club of Des Moines and the Sarah Club of Council Bluffs. Sarah is an apostolate of the Worldwide Catholic Church dedicated to fostering and supporting priesthood and religious vocations. Sarahs strive to accomplish their mission through prayer, fellowship, and service to the bishop, priests, sisters, and all in religious formation, and in doing so to increase their own holiness. Learn more at joinsarah.org, joinserra.org. Thank you, Sarahs, for your support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio is provided by the Knights of Columbus, Borman, and Pfeiffer agencies, serving Catholic families in Iowa, offering life insurance, long-term care insurance, disability insurance, and retirement annuities. The Knights of Columbus is a fraternal benefit society able to provide financial security to members and their families. Learn how Knights of Columbus agent Walker Borman can help at 563-689-6801. That's 563-689-6801 or KOFC.org. KOFC.org.
Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. We are back talking about the August 28th Eucharistic Procession from the Basilica of St. John, the Cathedral in Des Moines.
And, of course, for many of us, time spent before the Blessed Sacrament every day is really life to us, without which, we wouldn't know where we are and get our bearings and orient in the grace that we need for our respective vocations. But once in a while, just to be with each other and to let our praise loose, our Divine Renovation Conference in July that many of us were part of, kind of an evangelical moment, and just the music and the spirit that was there, I think many were touched in a very personal way. Obviously, Christ Our Life is coming up at the end of September, and more about that in a future show. But let's focus on this August 28th Eucharistic Procession. We arrive at the cathedral. I think there'll be some music. There'll be opportunities for fervent prayer and devotionals. And then it kind of follows from that. Jeff, tell us what's envisioned after that.
Yeah, we're going to, working there, there's extra permits, but have inflatables on the plaza right outside Pastoral Center. We'll have food there. And so we want families to stick around and be together. And we're hoping to have really good numbers. I don't know, it's up to God, how many people come, but we definitely think it could be great. And the people I've been talking to have been very excited about it. I sent, texts around about it, even though we don't have a true flyer yet, but hopefully this week. But people seem very, very excited, and very excited, Bishop, that you're going to be leading it.
Right, and hopefully, obviously, that Sundays are work days for our priests and deacons and many, but hopefully they can join us at some point, even en route, and to do that. And, the Knights of Columbus have pledged their involvement and participation and their support. That'll be pivotal. Some of them can do the heavy lifting, right, with the canopies and other things that are part of that as well. But family-friendly, but young singles, others should feel very much welcome as part of this event. So the kind of festive thing, touching us on a human level also, okay? And then there we are. Then you got to catch an Uber afterwards, or what? Where do people logistically go from there?
We're going to have around 2:30. This is our current plan. Around 2:30, we'll have a bus that'll take folks back from the cathedrals to the Basilica. Those who parked there in anticipation of going back. So we'll be busing folks back throughout so that people can get back to their rides.
So if anybody were, to decide, well, I don't really want to walk in this procession. I want to ride my bike, very slowly. Are they permitted to do that by the code or the permits or not? Maybe that's a spurious question. I'm sorry, but anyway, so again, I think we've well planned in terms of the logistics and all that are here, but the outpouring of grace that are there. But it doesn't end there. This is not a one-off for us in terms of the Eucharistic revival. John, we mentioned Christ Our Light, but that's obviously an event that has its own identity. It's something that's long part of the tradition and the culture here in the Diocese of Des Moines, live and online options. But what else might we be looking for? Bishop Cousins, other things that we could look for, the Eucharistic missionaries?
Yes, there are a few things coming up in terms of diocesan. Again, you mentioned that this is going to be a diocesan year. So again, to plan at the diocesan level. So we've partnered with also the Very Removed folks to look at, resources that they could provide for our parish leadership that going into the parish year, which is the following year, that the parish leadership could help cultivate and enhance and enrich the special attention to the Eucharist. Then there's also late October. We have not set a date yet. Someone that the USCC, it's a group of folks that the USCCB says has a gift of a oratory gift to talk and to rouse love for the Eucharist. And then we are also planning on a kind of a mini youth retreat, a weekend retreat, if you will, in the early spring for our 8th grade through 12th grade students throughout the diocese for 24-hour adoration with talks from our priests, and we'll invite some nuns. But
very good. As we wind down with time here, John, it sounds like there's a full menu of things. Stay tuned for more to come. Jeff Pierick, who has once said about himself, he has no dimmer switch, but allowing his light to shine in a beautiful way, and that radiant faith of the people of this diocese.
This has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.